Hello, is this Matt?
Hey, what's going on?
How you doing, Matt?
Not bad. Yourself?
Doing well, and I have my co-host with me, Austin, whom I think you've been in contact with just recently, actually.
Yes. We've been exchanging messages.
All righty then. Well, what we're going to do is just ask you a couple of questions, and I may have some questions as well as Austin, and then we'll just take it from there.
Sounds good. Fire away.
All right, Austin, I'll let you go first.
Okay, I think the big question is right now, how does it feel to be ROH TV champion? First time ever.
Well, that feels great. I mean, I'm not a fool, and it's not like I'm under a rock, and I know no one expected me to win the title this past weekend in Chicago or 2 weekends ago. But, to see the shocked faces was almost as good as hearing the cheers, because I think I proved a lot of people wrong that night and kind of made people stand up and take notice about who Matt Taven really is.
That is awesome. Now, let me ask you, I usually like to find out where people get their inspiration, where they get their motivation to want to be a professional wrestler. I want to pose that question to you as well. What gave you the motivation or the inspiration to want to be a professional wrestler?
Well, I loved wrestling as like a little kid. I can remember actually I was just with my grandfather, and I can remember his brother, so my great uncle, kind of turning on wrestling when I was a little kid and unaware what it was, and seeing guys like Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage and the Ultimate Warrior, and all the bright lights and colors, and as a 5-year-old kid, is nothing more that hooks you in than all that stuff. I mean, I went from watching cartoons to watching wrestling, and as a young kid, obviously, I loved the top names, the Hogans and the Warriors and whatnot. But as I moved in and got a little older, I became obsessed with the Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels type guys. Later on moving into Chris Jericho, and I just was always a wrestling fan and kind of never thought anything of actually becoming a wrestler until I graduated from college, and one of my buddies had been getting into it and kind of just shouted to me like, you should come down and just jump in a ring to see what it's like. And after that, I was hooked, and I immediately wanted to go get trained and really take it as a career and take off on my own.
Nice. So did you actually get trained at the House of Truth?
I got trained at the lockup school, which is Spike Dudley School out here in Massachusetts.
Yeah, okay. I didn't even know he had a school. Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah, he did. He actually no longer runs it. An independent company out here, Top Rope Promotions, that is their school. But Spike used to be the head trainer when I started training, and
very cool.
When I decided I really wanted to get into wrestling, I did my research, and there was 2 main schools up here. There's Chaotic Wrestling, which is kind of the offskirts of Killer Kowalski's school, and there's Top Rope, which Spike at the time was running, and I went down to Top Rope. I still train at both facilities, actually Chaotic and Top Rope to this day. But, I started with Spike, and that was an adventure in itself.
Speaking of the House of Truth, how does it like to be paired up with the Truth Martini?
I couldn't have to be paired up. I'm sorry, what was the last one?
The most honest man in professional wrestling.
Well, I couldn't, want to be paired up with anyone else besides Truth. Truth, we met for the first time when Ring of Honor was doing some OVW doing some shows down at OVW, and actually me and Mike Bennett, a couple other people went down to OVW early to train at the facility, and also, we did Ring of Honor, OVW shows as well. And Truth actually came down a little bit early and hopped in the room with us, and just, you can tell, from talking to a person for 30 seconds, their knowledge on wrestling, and immediately I latched on to Truth just because he had so much knowledge and knew so many, just out-of-the-box ideas and just cool ideas, and when it came opportunity to pair us up together, I jumped at the chance. I couldn't have been more excited to pair up with anyone.
He's definitely one of the managers that are... Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, man.
I was saying I would have jumped at it, too, if I had a chance, because he led so many people to to stardom with like Michael Elgin, Roderick Strong, stuff like that. I would, if you see what he's done with you, it's the exact thing.
Oh, definitely. I mean, in one night together, we struck golds as a unit, so that definitely paid off right away. But like I said, truth is, even if I wasn't paired up with him, I'd still look out to him for guidance and kind of to pick his brain because, as you know, he has that school up there in Michigan, and those students are lucky because they have someone that's really, really knowledgeable helping them.
That's very cool. Now, he's with the lack of managers nowadays in the wrestling world, he's one of the very few that actually do a really damn good job as far as being a manager. The days of the old managers back in the day are just gone, and you just see very few that are out there that really actually make their presence felt. You think of guys like Paul Heyman, or you think of other promotions, but you think about Ring of Honor. I mean, to be honest, he's really, I don't know the other managers that well, but from watching over the last several months, he's really the only manager that stuck out and still sticks to old school rules as far as being a manager and knowing how to get his guy over.
Oh, definitely. I mean, he's, my favorite manager, and I think the best manager of all time. And as a little kid, the guy who was always the most entertaining to me was Bobby Heenan. And, he could get it done on the mic, and he would add to his wrestlers, gimmick or persona without overshadowing his wrestler. And I think that you've seen that with Roddy and Michael Elgin, that Truth was there. But also, they were able to be stars on their own, even with Truth. And, Truth's that perfect blend of helping a guy out, but also not stepping on his toes. So, and like you said, the art of managing is pretty much a dead one. And there's only a handful of people that are keeping it alive, and thankfully I have Truth keeping it alive for me.
Amen to that, man. Amen to that. Excuse me. Did you have any other questions for him, Austin, or did you? I got a couple more if you don't mind.
Yeah. There you go. Still thinking.
You mentioned that you were watching some stars like Hogan and Warrior and Savage. You actually getting to be in Ring of Honor, you actually get to work with some pretty established veterans in there, such as Nigel McGuinness. I would have to say Charlie Haas. I'm not sure if Shelton is still part of it. Have you actually ever gotten the chance to sit down with them and actually pick their brain? And my second question is, who were some of the stars you look up to as far as who you kind of want to see your career be similar to, if that makes sense?
Yeah, no, I gotcha. Well, as far as the people in the locker room, I mean, there are, Charlie, like you said, and there's a lot of experienced guys from Matt Hardy to Mondo to Shelton to Nigel, and, luckily everyone at Ring of Honor really cares about one another. And, I was lingering around there for a year before I really got the opportunity. So I had, a lot of experience being around that locker room. And that locker room's like a big family. I mean, there's been countless times where I've gone up to Nigel and asked him what he thought of the match that I had, and I can remember in particular Shelton Benjamin pulling me aside after the match that me and Mike Mondo had on TV last year. And, he praised it, but at the same time, he gave me the little nitpicking pointers that would make me, are the things that people need to, just be that much better. There's so many good wrestlers out there today, and there's so many athletic wrestlers. I mean, there's, people that can do things that I can't even imagine. But it's the people that have the subtle details that really stand out to you. And I think guys like Adam Cole, who you would watch his matches and you just see the expression on his face, and you would be enthralled in the match. He would suck you into the story through his facials. And Mike Bennett, that always would get those little subtle things that would suck you right into the story and really get you either behind someone or against someone. Those are the things you need, and luckily, Ring of Honor has plenty of guys to help you get to that level.
Nice.
Oh, and as far as, I'm sorry, I forgot your second question there. As far as someone that I would, want to emulate my career after, I think it's someone that I emulate as far as, ring style goes, and, it's one of my all-time favorites, Chris Jericho. I feel like, he's had a long career over... a couple decades, seen a couple different continents, wrestled all over the world, won all sorts of titles, and
then he's a rock star to boot.
Yeah, and was always entertaining. You know what I mean? No matter what Chris Jericho was doing, whether he was young babyface or old grizzled heel, you would always watch his matches or his segments and be entertained by them.
That's awesome, and that's actually very true.
Top Prospect Tournament 2013. You defeated Tadarius Thomas to win the whole entire thing. How is it wrestling a person with that unique of a wrestling style?
Oh, it's different for sure. I mean, there was a couple times, those kicks that he does come out of nowhere, and the first one that he got me with, the first kick he landed in the match, I mean, you definitely knew you were in a fight after that. Almost knocked me loopy. I had to force myself to kick out because it comes from nowhere, and it's like I said, very unexpected. But you know what? That's just another facet of what Ring of Honor brings to wrestling fans. They bring all sorts of different guys that can do different things, and at the same time are extremely exciting and entertaining to watch.
Awesome. Now, actually, we had Tadarius on the show a couple of weeks back. Definitely a good kid. But I actually wanted to ask you now, where would you like to, well, let me see how I pose this question. If you don't mind me asking, actually, if you actually could wrestle any particular person, I know that you mentioned that you try to emulate your style of pro wrestling after Chris Jericho, but if you had the chance to wrestle any particular person, past or present, who would you have chosen and why?
Well, I guess if it went, for the money, it would be Austin or Hogan. But as far as a personal, kind of just dream match of myself, it would probably be the three people that I base my career after the most, which is, or try to emulate the most, I should say, which is, Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, and Chris Jericho. If I could wrestle those guys in their prime, or Chris Jericho now, or, whatever the case may be, it would be a dream come true, because as a kid, you watch these guys and then you wrestle your pillow like them, or you wrestle your friend like them, or you ignore that.
You had your wrestling buddies. You had your little wrestling buddies, stuffed animals.
Exactly. I had a Macho Man one. He took a beating. But as a young kid, I'd be dropping Bret Hart elbows on my Macho Man bash and brawler there, and be breaking my parents' bed or couches or stuff like that, and they were none too pleased with that hobby. But if I could go in time and wrestle any of those guys, it would be a dream come true.
Nice. Now, 2013 is still pretty much in its early stages in the first couple of months, and you've actually got the television title. Mm-hmm. Do you think maybe by the end of 2013 we might see you wrestle for another title? What do you think?
Well, and anything's possible, that's for sure. I plan on holding that television title for the rest of 2013.
That's actually a good goal.
If you watch, I believe it would be airing this week, I state that the television title is the most important title in a company that's owned by a broadcasting company like Ring of Honor is, and that would make Matt Taven greater than Steen. So until Steen beats me, I'm going to go with the fact that Taven is greater than Steen.
Yes, you are.
Did you have a question, Austin? I'm sorry?
I was going to say, would you ever think about, speaking of Kevin Steen, would you ever think about joining Scum? Unite to join and defeat Ring of Honor?
You know what? That whole Scum Ring of Honor thing is kind of, none of my concern at the moment. I just had my focus on the television title, and neither the Ring of Honor group. I guess Adam Cole is part of that Ring of Honor group, but to be honest, it had nothing to do with me, and it looks like those two groups are kind of beating the hell out of each other. So if I can lay low in that whole feud and just hold on to my television title, I'll be pretty happy.
Well, you think you're ever going to cross paths again with Adam Cole?
I hope so. It's quite the measuring stick with Adam Cole. He's quite the athlete and a great wrestler, you know, and I think I proved that I was better than him in Chicago. But the rumor is, you know, it's either him or Hardy or something's going on in New York. I haven't heard what's the final verdict, but
that's going to be
you
interesting.
know, either way, if Cole's in the ring, I have nothing to fear because I've already proven myself against him.
Nice. Well, I'll tell you what, Matt, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back, and we got a couple more questions for you, and go from there. Is that cool?
Awesome. Yeah.
All right,
sounds good.
tight. Welcome back, everybody. We're talking to Ring of Honor Television Champion, Matt Taven, and we're going to go ahead and bring him back on the air here in just a second. Let's go ahead and actually just do that now. All righty, welcome back. So, actually wanted to ask, because I'm just curious, because I know you probably were young enough, but still probably remember during the Attitude Era, and you don't have to answer if you don't want to. If you were a WCW fan, that's okay. But
that's all right. I was one of those kids that switched back and forth. Actually, me and my childhood friend Pat, we still watch WWE Classics on demand, and we still relive our glory days of calling each other on the phone while we switch back and forth from Nitro to Raw.
That is actually pretty funny, and you know the fact that they would replay it later in the evening. I could always count on watching what I missed.
Oh yeah,
later in the
you'd miss exactly. You see what you missed on Nitro.
When that would actually lead me to my other question. You know, you get to work with somebody. Well, you get to work with Kevin Kelly, and it's a pretty important job for him to talk about you and get you over to the people who are watching on television. Mm-hmm. Do you ever just pull him aside and just talk to him about anything, or ask his opinion about anything? And how does he like to work with?
You know what? It's funny that you mention that because, you know, there's certain people in your career that really help you out along the way. Mm-hmm. And as far as Ring of Honor goes, Kevin Kelly was one of those guys for me. Kevin Kelly, you know, has a big role in Ring of Honor. He does a lot of he kind of runs a lot of the tryout camps and helps out getting new faces in there. And Kevin had some connections in the Northeast independent scene. And I can remember the first time I met Kevin at a show that Bob Evans actually was running. And, you know, Kevin had a lot of great things to say about me and not only, you know, compliments, but also things that I could work on to become a complete package. And still to this day, I go to Kevin all the time to, you know, for advice and just kind of pointers on things. But it's actually funny you mentioned the Attitude Era and stuff because me and my buddy, my childhood friend there, Pat, were actually watching some old Raws today that Kevin Kelly was on. And I love kind of shooting text to Kevin and making fun of him for, you know, the ridiculous things he was wearing or saying during that time. But Kevin's great. I mean, he's a great guy. And, you know, I owe a lot of my success to the help that Kevin Kelly has given me.
Well, you know, he's really one of the more underrated play-by-play guys they have out there these days. You know, they don't give him enough credit because he wasn't that bad, considering you guys have somebody like, and no offense to him, really, he's not horrible, but he's not the greatest. I'm talking about Michael Cole. But, you know, Kevin really is, actually, I enjoyed his play-by-play work, and I still do when I watch Ring of Honor. So, yeah, he's definitely one of the greater ones.
And I kind of agree. I mean, I think you know, people really don't truly appreciate everything that Kevin had to offer, and so you kind of watch the Ring of Honor stuff now, and his play-by-play is great. And then you watch some old stuff where he's interviewing guys, and he can really help guide guys through interviews and really help them out to get their point across. You know, you see some guys kind of either, you know, get a little bit of the deer in the headlights or kind of lose their way, and Kevin was always able to steer them in the right direction. And that's just, you know what, like, that's the type of person that Kevin is in real life. He's always trying to help another person. And, you know, it comes off in his announcing. He's always, you know, helping the guys get over and helping put the match over and really show the fans, you know, the story that's going on in the ring.
Exactly. And that's what I noticed a lot of the a lot of the top stars, you know, around in any company for that matter. I would think that you would want to sit the play-by-play guy aside and, you know, to help him understand who you are, so that way he can get it across to the people who are watching at home. You know, guys like Mike Tenay, or even Cole, or even JR, or even Kevin Kelly. You know, they're the best at what they do, and they definitely got to know who you are to get you over, I would think. You know.
Oh, definitely. I mean, if you watch wrestling without the sound, you're missing half the story most of the time. You know, you're not getting that inside info that the announcer knows or is trying to help get across the audience. And it's like, you know, announcers are like referees. You don't really notice the really good ones, but you notice the really bad ones. So, you know, for a guy to have such a long career like Kevin did with the WWE and now having a career in Ring of Honor, you know, he's up there as one of the, you know, the really, really great announcers that we've had in wrestling.
And speaking of great announcers, and we spoke earlier of great managers, did you get the opportunity, or have you had the opportunity to work with Jim Cornette during his time there? I'm not sure if he's still there, and I don't know. But, I mean, have you gotten a chance to pick his brain a little bit?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you know, I first met Cornette, I believe it was either the end of 2009 or 2010. And, you know, then later I did a tryout with Ring of Honor at one of their camps that they do from time to time. And I'll never forget Jim Cornette telling me, you know, Matt Taven, you're like a puppy with big paws. You're one day you're going to grow into those paws and you're going to be one of the big stars. But right now, you're still developing. And I was like, Jesus.
Yeah.
Like, I just, you know, and Jim Cornette could blow you away with just a conversation because the guy that he is when he's talking on the mic is not really that different than the guy that he is in real life. I'll never forget him telling me and Mike Bennett about only getting a half a slice of cheese on a fillet of fish from McDonald's and how upset he was about it. But the way he says it, you would think you're watching a wrestling promo. He's like, how on earth could they slice half a slice of cheese? What do they do with the other slice? Do they put it on my fillet of fish? No. It's just he's such a good, like, always animated guy, and he's another one of those guys that you know, you can really pick their brain, and you know, luckily Ring of Honor had that mix and has that mix of, you know, those older guys that can help the younger talent, and you know, I think it really helps both ends of the spectrum.
That is cool. I've always enjoyed Jimmy from back in his NWA, WCW. Even when he was cutting him hardcore promos back during the Attitude Era, I guess you could say, because he would cut it straight to the point when he was talking trash about Hogan and Piper and all that other stuff he would say. There ain't nobody like Cornette, and I don't think there ever will be again.
No, he's very entertaining.
Hell of a guy. Well, I know at this point where I'm going to say, I want to actually ask Austin, did you have any final questions for Matt?
Yeah, I was going to say, this is probably really off the subject somewhat, but Voodoo Vegas, I was wondering, do you guys ROH have any, like, a deal with them? Because I see much of wrestlers' themes are from Voodoo. Yeah,
that was Voodoo Vegas. I'm not sure how they got connected with ROH, but that was a theme that was presented to me and that I ended up taking before joining the House of Truth. And those guys are great. You know, I think they just, maybe it was 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, they just released their album. And, you know, definitely a band worth checking out from the UK, Voodoo Vegas. A couple of really, really cool guys that were wrestling fans. And they actually, they contacted me, and then we would swap, you know, messages back and forth. And they were always super supportive of me, and likewise I am for them. So if anyone has a chance to check them out, it's definitely worth doing.
You know, I guess I'm too old to know who they are because I don't know who in the hell are you guys are talking about.
They did my old theme song there, though. So Unkind. Why are you so unkind?
I was going to think that. Okay.
That's
I'm too old for that. I don't know none of that stuff nowadays. What can I say? But on behalf of myself and Austin, Matt, I really want to thank you for taking the time to sit down and talk with us a little bit. Above anything else, as a wrestling fan, and that we all are, really, just to sit down and just talk some wrestling. That's what it really comes down to, and I thank you very much for taking the time to do that.
Oh, no, thank you guys. It was awesome to relive some good memories and talk about some good people with you guys.
Absolutely. And Austin, did you have any final words?
I wanted to say, I mean, I really respect your work, and I hope you hold on to that title for a long, long time.
Thank you, man. Greatly appreciate it. That's the plan. Definitely.
All righty, man. You have yourself a great night.
I'm sorry?
What's that?
Stay with Truth. He's the best.
Oh, that's the plan as well.
All righty, Matt. You have yourself a good night, and hopefully maybe we'll have you on again maybe sometime in the near future.
Yeah, man, anytime. Anyone out there that wants to keep track of me, you can check me out on Facebook or on Twitter at Matt Taven is my handle.
That's a good point. I should have asked you that because I just found out that you had a Twitter from Austin, actually. I didn't even know you had one.
Yeah, no worries. All my stuff's really easy to find. It's all just at Matt Taven, my regular name, and my Facebook's /Matt Taven. And for any booking or merchandise inquiries, that's an easy one, too. It's mattaven@gmail. So that's the ways to keep track of me or get a hold of me.
Awesome. Very cool. I'll definitely be looking for you on Facebook, and I got you on Twitter now. So
sounds good, man.
All right. Have yourself a good night, man.
You too. Thank you very much.
All right. No problem.
Bye.